2 eyes underscore Johnson, if I'm not mistaken. King with 2 eyes underscore Johnson. And he, I saw a post from this young man, which basically served as a reminder, not just about the people going to war and the possible imminent danger that faces a lot of our brave young men and young women who are fighting wars for us that they never even started. From a lot of our army bases, you saw a lot of social media posts with brave young men and women, some of them as young as 17, 18, going off to Iran. And, you know, I think that in the process of us making jokes, hoping to go viral, hoping to be noticed by someone, I think that we sometimes miss that these are people's children. This is someone's nephew. This is someone's niece. This is someone's daughter. This is someone's mom. This is someone's aunt. This is someone's best friend. This is someone's dad who is by and large doing something that you don't have the bravery or the gumption to do. Now, listen, I am here with you guys with the partying and the funny, and I think the jokes were cute, but did we take it too far, you guys? And that's kind of more of a question, because I laughed. Listen, I'm not a hypocrite. I laughed at a lot of that shit too. But I just wonder, did we take it too far? Shout out to my nephew who is over in Korea right now, who is an army man. And Korea is also a volatile situation for us. So, you know, I think when you're looking at the jokes, you sometimes forget that that is a joke made at the expense and on the back of someone who probably isn't laughing. So let's just pray for our armed forces, whatever branch of the military that they serve in. Thank them for their service, whether they are being deployed and or not. Thank them for being brave enough to do the things that we can't do. And while we're at home making memes and jokes, they are actually squaring up for the fight. So we love you guys. Thank you guys so much for listening. And thank you guys so much for fighting the good fight for us. Oh, okay. So we're not ready to get into the tomfoolery yet because it's a lot this week. But I wanted to touch on a quick subject before we got into this week's hot topics, which is called, Bitch, I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings, because I do. Do any of you guys live with people? And it doesn't matter to what capacity, whether you have a roommate, whether you live with obviously, if you're married, hopefully you live together, whether you live with your children, whether you live with your parents, whether you live with a friend, whatever. One of the things that I have come to realize is that I have spent probably the greater part of the last 3.5 to 4 years living with people. And there is definitely a dynamic that comes with that. I haven't lived alone in a while. And if you've never had your own place and you just moved straight out of your parents' house into being married, or straight out of your parents' house into having a roommate, or you know what I mean? I implore you, if you can, get your own place. There's something that is beautifully magical and wonderful about living alone. I can't even begin to explain how amazing it is. But what I can explain is how amazing living with people is not. Now, as I try to gather myself every day when I come back home, I always think to myself, there's always that moment where you're in the car, or you are at the door if you take public transportation, or you get out of your Uber and you talk yourself into going in. Because you don't know if the people you live with or the person you live with, are they going to be home? What's that going to look like? Am I going to have to talk? I don't fucking feel like talking today. I don't really care. But you also don't want to be a fucking stink ass, you know, because there's that dynamic too. So I don't know how the rest of you navigate it, but so I call it the emergence. When you have to step out of, you know, your car or whatever, and you have to go in to the home or go into the space for the first time, and you have to get your mind right. Now, I'm a person who, even when I didn't live with my parents as I currently do, and thank God that I have the ability to do so. But even when I lived with friends, I would come home from work and I would just sit in the car for a little bit, you know, just marinate for a little bit. Like try to get the stank off me, because you know that when you go to work, if you are, unconscious or probably, uber conscious, depending on what side of the spectrum that you're on. But if you are uber conscious of the people that you live with, and then also your work situation, and you bring that home with you, sometimes it may get a little bit biting when you first come in, because you still have that stank on you. And the people that live with you, they didn't go to work with you, so they don't deserve that shit. But you can't shake it. You know what I mean? Like, you haven't had a moment to decompress. So I used to like sit in the car so I could try to like get the stank off me, if you will. And then when you go in, you got to practice like how you're going to say hello. Is it going to be like, oh, hey, or are you just going to let it all hang out and be like, what's up? And just go straight to your room? Or, you know, what's it going to be? What's it going to be? Or the moment that I call the emergency, where the first emergence, if you will, if you've been sleeping all night, or if you have been locked up in your room all day and you first come out and you're like, all right, we pop out, I'm finna pop out. And in your mind, like, you hear, we pop out at your party, I'm with the gang, and it's gonna be a robbery. So, okay, so you singing that song to yourself, and you're thinking, all right, I'm finna pop out this room. All right, how I'm finna be. I'm gonna make sure that I'm dressed, because when you live with people, you gotta be dressed all the time. You cannot pop out, be a naked bitch, because nobody wants to see your tuck and snatch, bitch. Nobody wants to see it, okay? So you decide to, you know, how you going to come out. And I say all of this, I bring all of this to you today, the congregation, only because if I can encourage you to do anything, live alone. Live alone. Live alone whilst you can. Live alone. There is such a beautiful freedom to coming home and stripping your clothes off before you could cross your threshold, or just sitting there when you first come in and sitting at the kitchen table and just smoking on your whatever, because I'm not here to judge, or pouring yourself a glass of wine in everything but a glass, because, well, you don't give a shit. And who's going to judge you? Judge your mother, bitch. I don't have time for your judgments. So, yeah. If you haven't lived alone, I encourage you to do so. All right, let's just fucking get into this shit, all right? I'm over here dying and you don't even care. It's fine, though. Do any of you have those little stashes of, like, roaches? You know what I'm talking about. You heard that pop? That's my little weed pill, That's my little weed pill pop. Hold on. Let me do it for you again. That is one of my favorite sounds. That means weed is coming, kids. Okay. So, there's been a lot going on this week. DaBaby. Let's just start with him. So DaBaby got arrested this week in Dallas. He got arrested for having a fight with a promoter. Now, the promoter claims, excuse me. Ooh, that was cute. The promoter claims that, our friend DaBaby, as far as the story is told, was paid $20,000 for an event that he did when he was in fact supposed to be paid $30,000. Well, this angered DaBaby, and he decided to take justice into his own hands by dragging the promoter for filth, as well as pouring orange juice on the promoter. Well, this fucked around and got our friend DaBaby arrested. But not only did he get arrested, but because there was an outstanding warrant for his arrest in the city of Dallas, he remained in jail with no bond. Now, DaBaby has since been freed from jail. However, he is going to face the judge on Tuesday of this coming week. Now, the outstanding warrant was for a little melee that took place in the Dallas-Fort Worth airport, I believe, where DaBaby, in fact, had a fight with a, and this didn't even look like a real fisticuffs fight. It just looked like, someone was trying to come up. So, and let me just say this. The promoter in question is also would like to pursue legal charges, suing for actual money, suing DaBaby, which y'all, it's 2020 and we already coming with this shit. Now, all right, let me just finish telling the story so we can get some context. So he was in the airport, which looks to be like he was in an abonpan or maybe in like one of the news stands in the airport. Someone got frisky with him. He got frisky back. Him and his group kind of dragged this person physically, and then they went on their flight. At any rate, promoters are seeing DaBaby pop out in Miami this week for a New Year's gig that he did with Diddy and DJ Khaled at, I believe at Live in Miami. So they are watching him. Now, this is the second brush with the law that DaBaby has had in the past 2 to 3 weeks. If you recall, he was also, something happened with him in his hometown of North Carolina. It is no coincidence that this is all happening to DaBaby at the same time that he is seemingly blowing up. I mean, this happens to a lot of guys. Bobby Shmurda, who is supposed to be getting out this year. So free Bobby Shmurda gang all day. And I can't wait for that Shmurda Migos album, the Shmigos. Oh, you didn't know about that? Oh, bitch, I'm locked in. I'm tapped into these streets out here, okay? And I love hood shit. So, yes, that's coming. But, here's what I want to say to young DaBaby. And this is for any of y'all who are impulsive and think that street justice is still a thing when you have so much more on the scale that you're fighting for. You know what I mean? He could have sued this promoter and eventually got his $10,000 that was owed to him, because I fail to believe that as big as DaBaby is as of right now, that he's just doing verbal contracts like, oh, if you pop out to my club, I'll give you $30. I want to believe that DaBaby is definitely handling his business more professionally, which by the looks of things, that's not what's happening. Did any of you see DaBaby when he was first brought into court? Did you? Oh, you saw it. Okay, cool. So then you saw when the judge said, asked him, did he have anything to say or what have you? And he said, yeah, I want to let my lawyer know that I got $250,000 in the hotel. Now, did you see the court, bailiff behind him? She kind of like had something in her hand and looked like she wanted to smack him. Like, she was like, what the fuck is you doing, nigga? Like, I don't know who DaBaby's people are. I don't know. But what I do know is this. Number one, you going around in a court of law where there is press telling people that you have $250,000 that you're holding in a hotel room? So you want to be robbed. I for the life of me, I don't understand that. You mean to tell me that his counsel, he couldn't tell the counsel person, the lawyer who was there, because I'm so confused. So he went in front of a judge without his lawyer? He didn't get a chance to speak to his lawyer? I don't get it. What's happening with DaBaby? Whatever is happening,